Welcome back to the NationTalk podcast, and we have a guest with ourselves here. How would we introduce you?
I don't know.
Do I go ultra runner? Do I say former bodybuilder? Do I say jiu-jitsu?
You say,
You know what? Sorry if I don't mind me
yeah.
interrupting. A man on a journey. I
That's
think
a
that's
good
what
one.
he is.
I think so.
I think just someone who's trying to be a better person for everyone around me.
Bars.
Well done.
Bars.
I like that.
Yeah.
The reason why we hooked up is because you're one crazy motherfucker.
Little bit.
You decided to do a 100-kilometer run,
Yeah.
for a great cause. And why anybody would want to do something like that is way beyond me. So maybe we could start there and kind of walk us through
Okay, all right.
what possesses a human being to do
run
100
Let
kilometers.
me drop another, just a quick background. So you went 106 kilometers. You start in Chilliwack. You end in YVR.
Yeah.
You start at 12:30 at night.
Yeah.
You finish at some point the next day or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. 5:30. I think
yeah.
it's 5:30.
All in one go.
Yeah.
How'd you get there, man?
Okay, so it was I think the total number ended up being 103 kilometers, but I think that might have been a little bit messed up. I think it was actually at 100.
Right.
Okay.
So it was actually 100 kilometers. What got me to do that? Okay, that's a long answer. Or
We're here for a long form, man.
it's a multi-layered answer, right?
Right.
So like it all started, or at least it all precipitated out of COVID. So because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to work out as regularly as I normally would. At the time, I was lifting weights and training in jiu-jitsu. I train at Gravity Jiu-Jitsu in Surrey.
And how long had that routine been going on for?
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years of doing jiu-jitsu and every, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years of lifting weights.
Right.
And I used to be competitive in bodybuilding. And I transitioned out of bodybuilding to start doing some jiu-jitsu. And I was doing that regularly, like 4 to 6 days a week, really consistently. So that was, and it's a major workout,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
exhaustive. And I wasn't just doing a class. I'd be like doing 2.5 hours and whatever.
Why jiu-jitsu in particular? Why not like boxing, kickboxing?
So I used to wrestle in high school.
Oh, okay.
And then I always wanted to train in jiu-jitsu just because, you know, you're watching the UFC, you understand the concept of you don't have to be super strong. It's leverage based.
The sweet science.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just had my daughter was going to be born in it was May of 2017, and I started jiu-jitsu April 2017.
shit. Right.
So a month before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was probably not the smartest time to start because I didn't have much time to invest, and I'm sitting around 180 pounds now. I was about 215, 220 at that
Oh,
time.
wow.
So I was a
Big
bigger,
boy.
I
Yeah.
was bigger. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be pretty big, you know, I'm a big guy, be all good, whatever, try something new. And that didn't work out.
Interesting.
It was hard.
Yeah, was it tough?
But one of the reasons I started was because my daughter was getting born, and I wanted to have something that she could learn with me later on in life.
Cool.
Right? So, and as I see it, I think jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu specifically, is a life skill. I think everyone should learn it.
Yeah.
Just like swimming, right? So if you know how to swim, you should learn jiu-jitsu, especially if you're a female, from my perspective, because it's survival.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind
okay.
of. Yeah.
Kind of?
Keep
Cool.
going.
Okay.
I actually wanted to ask you something about. So we were big on powerlifting, weightlifting, stuff like that, and we've transitioned from different disciplines as well. We got into running, and Jazz does swimming and stuff like that. What was it about your relation? Was it a relationship with your weight training that you were kind of like, okay, been there, done that long enough, and now I need something new? And how do you get to that point? What's going on in your mind? Are you just sick of just lifting weights and you want to kind of diversify, or where are you at?
I'm not sure if I like if it's a conscious thing, like where I'm
Right.
thinking like, okay, I need to do something different now. It's more of like an organic thing.
Right.
So like, but inevitably there's a time where I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm good. And that usually happens when I've exhausted all the information that I need. So once I kind of understand what I need and how to maintain what I have, then I kind of just
Yeah.
pivot, or I'll make that task harder,
Right.
whatever I need to do. So like for bodybuilding, it got to a point where I was like, I've done everything I want to do. I've competed in a bunch of competitions. I've received trophies, this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? For
Right.
what purpose? What end game am I doing it for? And I didn't really like the lifestyle in terms of like the crowd that I was interacting with.
Yeah.
I'm not that there's anything wrong with them,
I
but
know
it's
what you mean.
just a different personality, different
For sure.
perspective. And, you know, I worked out by myself. After so many years. I was training with some friends, but then after a while, I just started lifting on my own. And, I ended up stopping the competing because I found there was no real return on my investment. So I'd be training, I'd be spending all this money to, you know, like for food and supplementation and this, that, and the other to get a trophy that I wasn't really overjoyed to get.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I
Well,
put
you
on.
felt miserable the day you're on stage. Like that's what with bodybuilding. Do you feel really miserable the day because you're dieting, your diuretics are in you, you're dry.
Well, for me, I never really did diuretics because
Okay.
I'm pretty dry generally anyway.
Yeah.
So like for me, I never really needed to do that. I just cut water out for 2 days.
Oh shit.
So this is a little bit different, but sorry, can you repeat what you were saying? I just lost the train of thought there.
What was the question there?
So yeah, it's just like, what was it that like kind of like gave you the push to be like, okay, now I've reached everything with bodybuilding.
Yeah.
The juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore, and now it's like, okay, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now you did say that your daughter was a big inspiration behind that, and you chose that.
Yeah.
But was there a relationship with the weight training and the bodybuilding? When did that deteriorate?
That happened in 2013.
Yeah.
So I had just competed and I got second in my in provincials
Yeah.
in my weight class.
And going back to that moment,
Yeah.
so now you get that trophy and whatever else. The
Yeah.
question was, when you guys are on stage and in that final moment, from what I understand, you're generally not feeling the best because of everything that's led up to that.
So it's
moment.
usually leading up to the day of competition. You're obviously not feeling great.
Yes.
But really the last 3 days isn't that bad.
Okay.
Because at least for me it wasn't, because I got to eat again, right?
Right.
So
The
carb
refeed.
loading. I didn't really give a shit about anything else really. I was like, I need to eat, right? So I'd start carbing up and eating. I'm like, okay, now you kind of switch back on. So you're shutting down the water and stuff. I was kind of used to that. It wasn't that big a deal. It usually is on the day of the competition, and then like after the morning show, maybe in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, this sucks.
So then you get the trophy.
Yeah.
You go home.
Yeah.
That moment before you got there, were you thinking that, hey, if I win this thing, I'm going to be overjoyed? And then you got the trophy, and then it let
How
you
did you
down.
feel? How did you
I was
feel
disappointed.
once-
I was disappointed I got second.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't feel happy at all.
No.
I was extremely disappointed.
Now, is that because you strike me as a person that needs a mountain to climb to be the best version of himself? And I feel like not so much as completing the peak as is the journey of the climb that matters to you the most. Is that a true?
I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that's true. But I think it is also important on what you get at the end, right?
Right.
I think it is important. So what I was searching for was something at the end, right?
Gotcha.
So like the journey is great and all that kind of stuff. So I'll mention the runs to kind of give you a little bit of understanding what I mean.
Yeah.
So I've competed in these tournaments for jiu-jitsu. I've competed in bodybuilding. I've received medals, trophies, and whatnot. And never, let me try to think. Never was I really excited and overjoyed. Like never over the moon. Like jumping up and down or anything.
Got you.
After I ran that 100 kilometers, I didn't get a fucking thing.
Really?
Not a trophy,
Yeah.
not a medal,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
I felt a billion times better,
Crazy.
right? That's when I figured that part out, I was like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I understand why I haven't been satisfied with other stuff, because I wasn't doing anything meaningful.
Yeah.
From my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is their own individual.
Yeah.
However you want to proceed in life and
Yeah.
challenge yourself, great, awesome, right? But for me, it wasn't meaningful. It meant nothing.
Yeah. You can't be a rebel without a cause. You
Right?
need
So
a
I'm
cause.
like, I'm grinding for 16 weeks, dieting, killing myself, this, that, and the other, for a trophy I didn't really give a shit about. And it was a second place trophy to top
Right.
it. So it's like,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
this,
yeah.
right?
So you eventually lead to jiu-jitsu, but then now in 2020, jiu-jitsu leads you to running.
Yeah.
Was that simply because of the fact that jiu-jitsu was closed
Yeah.
and you just couldn't? So just by default, almost, it wasn't necessarily something about running itself.
I hate
per
running.
se.
Yeah.
I hate
Okay,
it.
you hate running.
So
I
again,
hate it.
Tell
there's
us more
there's the
about
climb,
that.
there's the mountain you got to climb.
Yes,
right?
so I hate running. I've hated it my entire life. I hate it.
Right.
So like,
So what's the trajectory for someone that could barely run 5K
Yeah.
to make the decision if, hey, I think I want to do 100?
okay, so
What's going on in your mind when you decide that?
I'm thinking of no one.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about myself
Gotcha.
at that moment,
Okay.
right? So like I'm not thinking about, oh, this will be cool or this will be that or whatever. I'm just thinking about. Actually, no, that's not true. Let me take a step back here. Initially, I'm not thinking about anybody. But when I'm thinking about how to challenge myself, I need to throw something crazy out there. Otherwise, it's not getting me up.
Right.
I need a goal to strive for.
Right.
Otherwise, because when I finished bodybuilding, I didn't have anything, so I was kind of lost.
Right.
Not doing anything, right? And then you start drinking more, you're partying, doing this, that, and the other. And also, I was also had my own issues at the time, and I wasn't really addressing anything, and I was just kind of just going along with life.
As every Indian male would do.
Right? So you're just kind of doing whatever. And but I realized I needed some level of meaning, some level of goal, some level of target. So when I started the jiu-jitsu, it was all new again. So like now I'm like starting fresh. I don't know a fucking thing. I'm getting my ass kicked by someone half my size. It's like magic. I'm like, wow, it's so cool, right? And I'm still like that about the art, right? And the fun of it. I don't give a shit about the tournaments or competing.
Yeah.
But like when I'm rolling with friends or I go to another school to drop in, that's all cool. Like the environment, the atmosphere, the camaraderie, all that's awesome. So when I started competing in jiu-jitsu, I started in 2017, April, and I competed my first tournament in December of that year. And I won the tournament, and then that was cool. But again, I wasn't...
You didn't give you that same as the
No, I mean, it was nice, whatever, but I wasn't like...
Jumping over.
No, because I maybe self-critical all the time, or... I mean, honestly, I don't quite know why.
Can you speak to your mental state at the time? Like, how were things going on in Sach's head? Like, are you waking up happy? How's your mental health at the time? Does that play?
So reflecting back now, it wasn't good,
Yeah.
but at the time, I didn't know it.
Didn't know it. You
Oh,
didn't
okay.
have the awareness then.
I didn't have the awareness. Because if I reflect back now, I'm not even the same person I was then.
Really?
Even 4 years ago.
What was Sach like back then?
Less
As
compassionate.
opposed to now. Okay,
less
yeah,
compassionate.
Yeah.
Less open-minded.
Right.
Less understanding. A lot of just more judgmental.
Right.
Like just all these kind of negative things. More aggressive.
Right.
More angry.
Yeah.
Where
Where do you think that stemmed from? Like, if you were to look back and try and pinpoint.
I would probably.
Like, for myself.
usually all these things generally come from childhood.
That's what I was gonna say.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like now again, when you're living your life and you're going through life, you don't see shit that way. You're like, oh yeah, and when you're in a Desi community, everyone's the same.
Yeah.
So you don't really look at it from with insight.
Right.
You don't look at it from a different perspective. Now, I guess benefit or no benefit, I didn't really associate too heavily in the Indian community.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I was just, I grew up in Dallas and I had a lot of white friends and grew up this, that, and the other. So, anyways, I just, in reflecting, a lot of those kind of issues probably started as a child.
Right.
Right? And, well, not probably, there's a lot of trauma that I experienced as a child that probably manifested itself later on in various different ways and that they were never even addressed at any point. Right? Because you just kind of keep your head down, you work, you go to school, you study, you drink, it's normal, blah, 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 all this shit, right?
Coping mechanisms. Yeah.
Everything. And not even good coping mechanisms.
No, terrible.
Terrible
Yeah, for
ones.
sure.
Terrible
Yeah,
ones,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, so my life, it sounds like everything was kind of cool, but my life was all fucked.
Right.
Straight up, man.
Right.
So like, but the one consistent thing was the fitness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the one
Do
thing.
you think that was one thing that was holding it together?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because that was forcing me not to do stupid shit too, right?
Yeah.
And it was keeping me aligned with a certain goal. Like, okay, I have to fucking get this thing done. It was keeping me somewhat on
I
track.
can relate to that on a very personal
Right?
level.
Right.
So like, but I wasn't like we were talking earlier that I think fitness is a holistic endeavor. I was only tackling one sliver of
Appeasing the ego, right? We want to look good. We want
Right,
to get
right.
jacked. Yeah.
So it was only that one part up until like let's say 2-3 years ago. I hadn't been working on the rest of it.
Right. Right.
So the last 3 years, I've exclusively been focused more on the other pieces of what I consider a holistic sort of perspective on fitness.
Right.
Right. So like, and so like now I have the fitness on this side. Okay, I can kind of manage it and do it like pretty much with my eyes shut and kind of go do what I need to do. But then I was like, okay, I got to sort out my other shit, my mental health,
For sure.
my just everything associated with my mental health. So like, how do I interact with people? How do I talk to people? How do I respond when they talk to me? Why do I react this way when people talk? Why do I get so fucking angry? Why do I blow up? Like all these types of things.
It seems like you touched the hot stove a few times and it burnt you before you had to make these changes, right?
Look, man, I hit rock bottom. That's why I had to make these changes.
Right.
Like
No, for sure.
my life hit like I mean, shit, man. I ended up getting separated and divorced.
Right.
Right. So that whole thing made me start reflecting and figuring out, okay, hey, look, you're in this situation now. Mm-hmm. I felt a lot of pain,
No, for sure,
sorrow, and regret, guilt, all these things that eat you up, right? And
all of which were probably built up from a childhood of like
everything,
yeah,
years up, and then taking on more guilt based on the marriage and what I perceive to be my sort of contribution to the divorce. So then I'm taking all that on, and it got to a point where it was unmanageable.
Right.
And I had to do something.
Yeah.
So I took a step back. I unplugged, and I was like, okay, where am I right now? How do I fix my scenario? And let's start fucking moving in that direction.
For sure.
Right? So I didn't have any clue on how to do it. So I just started seeking out counselors.
Interesting.
Right? And then I went from a counselor to a therapist to a psychologist to a just kind of going through the whole sort of gambit
Went on
of
a journey,
things.
it sounds like, right?
No, man, I'm telling you, this last 3 years, everyone's, or not everyone, but people are aware of like the work I put in physically. But that's not even close to the work I've been putting in. Like I put in a shit ton of work. So like mentally, I wouldn't have been able to complete this 100K, organizing essentially spearheading the whole sort of event, and raising the amount of funds, getting global news, like all these types of things wouldn't have happened had I not sorted this out first.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least started the process of sorting it out, because I'm not nearly where I want to be.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But
definitely.
like it's on the right path.
Was the 100 kilometers the tangible way for you to take your pain and sorrow, put it into something, and then go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to do this? Where's the connection between the running and what you were going through at the time? So at the time you're in this position, but where does the brain click and say, you know what, hey, I think I want to start raising funds for a cause. Okay. Or I think I want to do this, and then running tends to be the answer. So
I started just to run.
Okay.
So I read...
Feel better, or...
Well, I had no jiu-jitsu, so I had to do something.
Yeah.
And I was experiencing a great deal of anxiety and depression. Okay. A lot of it.
Okay.
Like significant amounts.
Yeah.
And when I found out jiu-jitsu wasn't going to be happening, I had a meltdown.
Yeah, initially I can imagine.
Like I was just like, fuck, like, you know, I'm
but
crying
it speaks to attachment. Like we get attached to these things, and then once they get removed from us, we realize, fuck, we're almost nothing without it.
Yeah.
Like when COVID hit and our business had to like shut down, I realized how much my identity was attached to the business. And once you take that away from me, like, who the fuck am I? Like, what,
well, that's one aspect of it, right? Yeah. So the aspect of my identity, okay, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't really lift as much.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But the identity piece, but then my mental health piece was huge, man. I needed something to fucking work it out.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wasn't getting that, and then with the thought of me not being able to do that, then I started really freaking out and start crying, and like all these types of emotions start coming out. And then I read Can't Hurt Me, Goggins' book, right? Yeah. And then that spoke to me quite.
That book is a physical punch in the face.
And I related on not all the levels, but on some of the stuff he was talking about, I related to it. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Right, let's go. Like I'm on my wrestling team in high school. We used to run like a mile, or we used to do these things. Right? I was always the worst. Yeah, like it was just the shittiest runner. Like not even good, just not at all. Right. So I thought, okay, I'm not good at this one thing. Let's focus on this one thing and get good at it. Yeah. So then I can put all my energy into that. I don't have to think about anything else. I can kind of get consumed here.
Initially, it was a way to just avoid,
and get consumed, right? Because I wasn't thinking that it would help me with like my mental health. Clarity, because I didn't know. Like I wasn't thinking I'm going to run 20K. I was thinking I just want to do 5.
Yeah.
Right. So the concept of doing crazy amounts wasn't there yet. Right. So I started doing the 5, and
And how often are you doing the 5?
I was doing 5 3 times a week.
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
How long did it take you to do your first 5K?
35 minutes maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah.
And I thought I was in good shape. I was doing jiu-jitsu and all that, but it's
It's
very
type of endurance.
yeah, and it's kind of arrogant for me to think that I'm going to jump into a new sport and go like that.
Gotcha.
So like I wasn't thinking of running as a sport.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more of a torture tactic.
I was thinking of it. I was just okay. You just move,
Yeah.
run. Everybody does it. You're a fucking kid, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's
a
a
sweet
piece
science,
that you
man.
need to understand, right? And if you don't understand that piece, you don't understand the nuance that's involved with running,
Yeah.
and the gait and
No, for sure.
all the different
Stride
things to it.
length
Like, so I
and, yeah.
really didn't think on it deeply and critically. I just like, oh, I guess fucking running, whatever.
It's
So,
interesting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
then I started that, and then I saw how I was progressing, and I started improving.
Okay.
And then I saw that, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm at work. I'm doing various things at work.
And at this point, the 100K is not even
No.
It's not even on the radar.
Thought.
No, but mind you, I'm running. I'm progressing fairly well. And now I'm like, okay, I'm progressing well. Okay, what do I want to push myself faster. I want to get fat, like not physically faster, but like push the progress faster.
Yeah.
So I think I can't remember the time frame, but like within short order, I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna run 21K. So I set a goal, right? Because I know with me, I'm goal oriented. I gotta set a goal, right?
Yep.
And so I set the goal for that, and I can't remember how long into my running, but it wasn't in a long. It was like maybe a few weeks, maybe a month or something, and I ran the 21K. Now, no one's telling me to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's all 100% self-motivated.
You're just Googling things? YouTube or
No,
just
even
You're just
before,
leaving your house.
nothing.
You're just leaving your
Bro,
house
You're
and
just leaving
running.
your house with your shoes and
and not even good shoes.
Yeah.
I had some garbage ass shoes on.
like a Minute Maid.
Bro, not even Minute Maid, man. I was like, I didn't have any waters. I'm just like, I went.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it was, so since I'm self-motivated to do it, or trying to get myself motivated to do it, I needed to find ways to push myself to do it. Because, like, I'm going to find every excuse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have someone, like, I don't have you guys telling me to go fucking do it.
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
someone doing it, right?
Yeah.
So what that requires is me understanding my personality at that time.
Right.
So at that time, and not even now, and hopefully in the future it'll be a lesser degree, but I like validation. So when I get validated,
Who doesn't,
people-
man? Yeah, definitely.
But I don't, I don't want to use it as something that drives me either, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, it drives me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, how do I fucking get up for this 21K? So I set a date. I was like, okay, this is the date I'm going to do it. This is Sunday, whatever, right? And then I started telling people at work, hey, I'm going to run this 21K on this day.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm telling them just so they can, if 2 months down the road, if I hadn't run, they asked me, not that they care if I run or not.
They're saying, are you okay? Do you need help?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
You're going to go run 21K.
Yeah,
What's wrong with you?
yeah, basically. So I'm just saying, because if they were to ask me, in my mind, if I don't, then I'm gonna feel like a piece of shit.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm a piece of garbage. I didn't fucking do it. I'm useless. Like, and then I start beating myself up.
It's a
Right?
self-regulator. That's
Yeah.
it's a good way to definitely.
So then so I'm telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then so Sunday rolls around, right? It's pissing out. Isn't like fucking like how
the
this
storm
shit
we're
is.
having now.
Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I'm like, oh man, it's fucking raining and I'm gonna fucking run outside. And it was around this time of year. And I was like, fuck it. So I tell these people at work, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna run 21K tonight, blah blah blah. And they're like you said, without fail, they're like, what the fuck for? It's raining.
Yeah,
Like, why are
yeah,
you doing
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
And I was like, why not?
Yeah. It's more reason too when they say no.
Right?
Right.
So that kind of
Right.
just pushed me over the edge. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck you, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
And then I just got home, did my thing. I had these like 8-year-old runners, like fucking garbage
Yeah,
runners.
yeah,
I threw
yeah.
them on,
Yeah.
and then I just went. And it took over 2 hours. I can't remember how long it was.
No, it sounds like you didn't have a route plan, nothing. You just hit the pavement, ran until the watch said 21, and then you're like, "What the fuck do I do now? How do I get back?"
I hobbled home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go.
No, I kind of stayed in the same vicinity.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it was. Now that I know more, I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
because it was so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know
No,
what I mean?
for sure.
Just kind of doing this thing.
The loops are like, it's mental tenacity.
No, for
Man,
sure.
I'm telling you.
I'm trying to like so I'm trying to think of myself here as well, and I'm like, nobody wants to go through trauma in their life. It's never something someone plans out for, but at a point, you learn to either find a way for it to serve you, or it's gonna fucking take you over and it's gonna consume you.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're one of the few people that have found a way to not let the trauma win. You've let it fuel you. It could have consumed you. You said you hit rock bottoms. A lot of people don't come out of rock bottom. And I don't know, and you don't sound like the type of person that takes a beat to take a deep breath and realizes the work you've done. And a big part of the podcast that we do is give people their flowers.
Yes.
And I feel like we got to give you your flowers to understand, yes, you did 100K. That's great. But the work that you've done on yourself, I think, is a way bigger feat than all of that.
Yeah.
And you're a man that runs off of a cause. You are nothing without one. And you please accept the flowers that we're giving you.
Man,
because,
I mean,
I
I think even when I saw you on Instagram, when I came across your page, I don't know how it happened, but I think I posted something running, and then you must have liked it, or because it was a hashtag running.
I think
something.
Yeah.
I think
And then
we
I
just
saw your
organically.
page,
Yeah.
I saw your page, and I was like, "What the hell?" Because I too read "Can't Hurt Me." I too was separated from divorce. I too made a lot of changes and had like very similar sort of plight in that sense. And so I was very intrigued by what you were doing. And I think I even said to you when I messaged, said, I found the Brown David Goggins.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
'Cause
funny,
I found
yeah.
that to be really cool. But yeah, man, it's very, very motivating. And you got to give yourself a
No, I've been hearing this more frequently in the last couple of weeks, and it is hard for me to hear it.
It looks like it.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find ways to get better at it.
Yeah.
So I ask people, what do I say? So
Yeah.
Thanks.
No,
I appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah, no, but just keep it in the back of your mind, because
Yeah.
because I think a lot like you. I'm afraid that when I accept something like that, I get softer. And I almost start to let off the gas pedal. And I have that in the back of my head. So that's
Okay.
why I take it on the surface, but I don't take it here. I don't accept it. And I'm getting better at that through therapy and like our experiences with psychedelics and stuff like that. But for the personality that we're like, it takes a lot to understand and like accept that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. You said that you feel like it makes you soft. I don't think it does that for me. I feel like I'm not worthy of the compliment.
Bars. Yes,
Right?
yes,
I think
yes.
that's what it is.
Yes.
So I feel uncomfortable hearing it because I don't think I deserve it.
Right.
Because now, if I reflect back on the entire year, which is what I have to do to be able to accept the compliment. So last year, I set a few goals, right? And I've far surpassed all of them. So the goals were this. I wanted to have, by April of next year, 1,600 followers on my Instagram.
Right.
I started with like 400 or
Right.
something. I wanted to raise $10,000 for veterans and for RCMP. I wanted to be able to run 100 kilometers. And I wanted to be able to get reach, getting the exposure. I wanted to be able to get some support from businesses to make that happen. So a year later, I ran 100 kilometers, raised 21,000. You guys are helping me, support me. I have Endure Apparel. It's a local company that supports me, and they make running accessories and clothes, socks, hats, and this, that. Phenomenal company.
Yeah.
They're on board with supporting me. Good. So Team Good is a beverage that was the first company to support me.
Okay.
And it's a local company started by a local triathlete.
Killer.
And
Oh, wow.
Nice. This beverage is for what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So 20 grams of protein in it, and it has 545 milligrams of electrolytes,
Sick.
and it's all natural sweeteners, right?
Crazy.
And the other companies that's supporting me is All Max Supplements, which is a supplementation company that provides protein.
We've had
and
all
all that.
max.
Yeah, yeah. My whole
16,
life.
15,
Yeah,
14,
yeah.
13, maybe.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had
Yeah.
all max beta alanine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Pastingly.
so for me, in the span of a year, I've been able to achieve all of that.
Yeah.
When I was competing for 10 years in bodybuilding, I didn't do any of it. Right?
That's so funny.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So in under a year, I trained myself to run 100K. I did all these things. So now I can take a step back and say that's pretty cool that I did
Yeah.
all that, but we have so much more to do.
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Take us
of course.
to the moment where you're like, where was the exact moment where you sat there and said, "All right, Sach, I'm gonna run 100K."
So it was a combination of things, man. Like, so I'm divorced. I'm dealing with all this stuff. I dealing with my psychologist, doing all my therapy, and then came to the realization of a couple weeks before the 100K. So a couple weeks before the 100 kilometers, I'm at work, and I'm a canine handler in law enforcement. So
Right.
I'm with a colleague of mine. He's running his dog and doing his thing, and I'm watching him, and it's an amazing job.
Right.
I have no complaints whatsoever about where I work and how everything is perfect, right?
Yeah.
He's running his dog, doing his thing. I'm looking around. I'm just standing there while he's doing his job, right? And I'm like, I'm wasting my fucking time.
Yeah.
It just came to the realization.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm wasting my fucking time here because I have a certain skill sets, and I'm not maximizing them in the place I'm working at.
Right.
I feel I can maximize them outside and doing what I'm actually doing, right? So this was a realization or epiphany I had maybe 2 weeks before the 100 kilometers, and then I had reached a level of peace and clarity because I knew what I had to do, and I felt a sense of there was no question. Like everything just seems aligned with the direction I need to go, right? So having said that, I spoke to my psychologist and I talked to her, and this was again a couple weeks before the run, and I'm talking to her and I'm like, yeah, it's weird. I have this level of peace now and clarity, blah, blah, blah. I was at work and I saw this and I just feel like I don't belong there. I just don't fit. And she's like, yeah.
Crazy. Oh, she saw it a while ago.
I was like, what? And I've been seeing her for a couple years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah. I go, you fucking knew this? And you didn't tell me? I've been coming to see you for like how many years, how much money I've been spending. But I mean, I was making jokes.
Yeah.
But she was basically
That's
saying,
the art of the psychologist, though. Is you got to read on their face and see what they're trying to tell you, and then you.
so
take
she
it.
basically
She let you discover it yourself.
yes.
Yeah.
So like, next time I go, I'm going to ask her, what did she see to think that before? I'm going to ask her that question because I didn't ask her at that time. But anyway, so that was like another sort of validating thing for me.
Right.
It's like, I'm on the right track.
Right.
I'm doing what I should be doing.
Right.
So now I'm like, so the 100K part, that idea happened earlier this year. So I was running, doing my thing, and I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to Rogan and Cam Haines and all these different types of Goggins, Jocko, all these people that, Jordan Peterson, like they've kind of blown up the last 3-4 years, right?
And they have kind of room in that self-help men's space.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
area.
Yeah, and so I'm running, and I'm like, I was only really running twice a week. Tuesday was like my short run, and Saturday was my long run. This is how I scheduled it. My short one was 21K.
Crazy.
I was on my short run.
Fucked.
And then, but really, I didn't know the terminology. I was just saying
Right.
my shorter one's gonna be Tuesday, my longer one's gonna be Saturday.
Right.
The goal was to get to Saturday was gonna be 42K. So I'd work my way up to that. So I do 21, and then Saturday I was working my way up. I ended up getting to 30 when I started reevaluating what I should be doing. So then I started reevaluating it because I was almost constantly in pain. I was sore all the time. I was like, fuck, man, how's this? Like, I'm running only twice a week. Why am I sore all the time? And I'm working out and lifting weights and all that kind of stuff. And I was still doing jiu-jitsu at the time. And then
What, and you were wondering why you're sore all the time? You're working out like 7 days a week, of course.
no, but I think you can work out 7 days a week. It's just based on,
tempo.
right?
Yeah.
And also what level you're at.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I can run 100 kilometers now.
Yeah.
You need a lot to fucking get me done, right?
You've unlocked a new level.
So now I can do more, right? So I've essentially, actually, that's cool that you said that. You unlocked a new level. I like to say I've leveled up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Same idea, right? So I'm listening to these podcasts. I'm sore. I'm like, okay, how do I gotta run every day because I'm listening to people do that, right?
Yeah,
So I'm like,
adaptation.
okay. Right. So I'm like, okay, I gotta run every day. So then I was like, okay. And then I started thinking, how does someone like Cameron Haines, who's in his 50s, an elite runner,
He's got a full-time job, too.
He's got a full-time job.
Waking up at like 4 o'clock every
whatever it is, right? So I'm like, how does he run a marathon a day? So he essentially breaks it up, 21 in the morning, 21 in the afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that's what got me thinking. I was like, how does that guy fucking do it? Okay, he must run. He runs every day. Let me try running every day.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I was doing 10 kilometers fairly easy. So I was like, okay, let's start with 11K a day. So I started running 11 kilometers every day with the goal of adding a kilometer every week until I got to 21 kilometers.
Okay.
So I did that. And what is it? 10 weeks, right? I got to 21K. And then I was like, I can run 42 every day. Because I'd run 21. And mind you, I'm working every day. I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I'm running. I'm doing all of it. Now, if I knew I didn't have to do as much, I could do 42 every day. Like I could have done it. Because then I could break it up. So then I'm like, okay, 21 a day, I can do this. Then I started combining the idea of not like the 100K was already kind of there. Then I started really entertaining a bigger goal. That's when a bigger goal started jumping into my head. And
What's that goal?
right. So then, yeah, the goal thing. But before that, the 100K was the concept. And the reason why I said 100K is because initially when I started progressing, I thought, okay, how can I leverage this for also positivity, not just for myself? Because this is when I was thinking that fitness is a holistic endeavor. Yeah. Right? And I was seeing my psychologist regularly, all these things. So I'm trying to be a better person now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to contribute.
Crawl out of the hole.
Right. And I'm trying to be a productive member of society, which I am, but in my mind, I didn't feel like
enough.
it. Right? It's not enough. So my mantra at the time, and still is to a certain degree, is I want to be a better person for everyone around me.
Right.
Doesn't matter anybody I come in contact with, I want to be a better person.
Right.
So I just keep repeating that to myself. How do I do that? And so then charity, and then running, and then raise money, and then what fits with me. Well, I have a family connection with people in the military. I have friends that were in the military. I have a family history of law enforcement, and I have lots of friends in law enforcement. It was a no-brainer for me to do something along those lines for veterans. And so it was like a simple kind of decision.
So that one naturally comes about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I work for the federal government, so it's also a connection there that I can get some sort of assistance possibly down the road.
Yes.
So it was strategic also play, right? So I was thinking strategically, how can we do this and benefit as many people as possible?
Right.
And I'll speak to that again because I think we're also going to pivot to which charity we're going to support moving forward.
Cool.
Yes.
So we can get more reach.
Definitely.
And more support.
Yeah.
But so that's how I kind of got
So
to
you get the
that.
veterans, and then there's the mental health piece as well.
Yeah.
Right, and you understand that this group.
And it
of
sounds like those two
individuals-
go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like the PTSD
Yeah.
rates and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. It's crazy. So there definitely is a need for the awareness. So you picked a cause that definitely needs. that
Yeah,
sort of
especially
attention.
I felt there was a gap there.
Yeah.
Especially considering how much money we received through donations. So some people were donating $1,000 just as an individual, and then we smashed our fundraising goal, more than doubled it. So that tells me that people want to help.
Yes.
That tells me that there's a gap there,
Yeah.
because there's all types of charities and all of them are great.
Right.
Yeah.
Cops for Cancer, Children's Hospital. I mean, all of it. But no one's talking about veterans.
Right.
And no one's talking about that. So I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your shirt.
So I made this shirt. Yes, I don't want to.
No,
Yeah, that's fine,
we'll
that's
zoom
fine.
it in. Yeah.
So I made this shirt. I made this shirt to help a local veteran and RCMP member who's dealing with some medical issues.
Okay.
And I kept it separate from the actual run
So.
itself.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do this on my own. And so the shirt is $29.99. It's 100% of the proceeds go to the charity or to an individual that I'll be helping. Yeah, so it's $29.99.
Where can they find the shirt?
The shirt, they can go to my website, suchinmotion.com. You just go straight to the website. You purchase it there. We have some left.
Yeah.
We'd like to sell all of them.
Right.
So
I got one.
I got one.
I
Yeah,
always work
it-
out with mine.
Yeah, and
I love
we've
it.
sold them across Canada.
Yeah.
We'd like to get more people within the Indo-Canadian community to be more supportive because I think from that perspective, look, I think there's a huge issue with mental health in our community,
For sure.
and I think it needs to be more vocalized.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the stigma should be taken away, and I think it's our responsibility
Yeah.
as the up and coming youth of the community to be that voice
Yeah.
Yeah.
and say that
definitely.
it's cool, it's all right, man. No
It's
big
time to
deal,
break
right?
the wheel, because like everyone that we look up to doesn't deal with their shit, and
Yeah.
then when they get older, who were our heroes growing up are now we're like, well, those are just broken men
Yeah.
that aren't
Yeah.
dealing with their shit or coping through alcohol, drugs,
Yeah.
and other ways. Are lucky to be wildly successful, make good money, but the older you get, the more
Yeah.
you realize money ain't shit.
So
I think
money,
you're the
yeah.
first older brown guy. I know I use that phrase, but
Yeah.
we call it the OGs, right? Because
Yeah.
we feel that because we're born in like the
Yeah.
late '80s,
Yeah.
and then there was the ones before us, and
Yeah.
like we would model ourselves after you guys,
Yeah.
and heard the stories of like partying or this
Yeah.
and that, whatever else
Yeah.
the case is, right?
Yeah.
But to hear someone such as yourself in that demographic to talk about therapy, because I think the first time we met, you talked about it.
I don't
you
think-
talked
yeah.
about how much it helped you.
Or even be vulnerable enough to say, I hit my rock bottom.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. A lot of people think it's easy to put on a camera and everyone can just talk about your shit.
No, man.
You seem like the last person in the world to want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But just like you want to be uncomfortable in your training, you find that being uncomfortable and vulnerable here, is again going to make you a better person
So
around everyone else.
That's
right?
that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to just be a better person for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Around me, so that if I have to address some things I don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
I will. Like, and look, man, I never used to be an emotional person where I'd start crying and shit. Clearly, I'm an emotional person because I cry a lot more now.
Yeah.
So now I reflect on that.
Right.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why do I cry more? Why am I more emotional with that stuff? It's because I bottled all my shit up for 40 years, right? Everything was down. You would see nothing from me. All you would see is either, joking around or
Stone face, you're not going to.
you're going to see something unpleasant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that because that was the style of masculinity you learned in the Indian community, or is it just like your like? The
No,
default?
I grew
That's
up
just how
like
you-
that,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Just how you
look,
were.
and I think my dad probably has a level of depression and anxiety that was never addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, like we can go down fucking generation after generation after generation.
Yeah.
You go through British oppression and Mughal oppression and all these different types of things, and then you talk about blood memory and all these other types of things. There's got to be something that's been affecting us. Why does the Indian community talk about drinking all the time?
Yeah.
Why is it a normal thing?
Yeah.
Why is it a cultural thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, but fucking
passed down.
we never used anything to fucking address our mental health. I mean, 100 years ago in the band, you're not fucking talking about mental health. Just give me a fucking pack and let's go.
But that shit stops with shit like this.
Exactly.
Right?
So the point is, we gotta look. I barely drink now,
Yeah.
and not that I was an alcoholic. I just don't feel like it anymore. Like, yeah, I mean, a couple beers here
Well,
and
when
there.
you're training like you are, it's hard to like have something that's going to dehydrate you already and stuff like that as well, right? So it kind of works in play with everything, right?
to that, but it's leveled up now to another point. So before I would think of it that way, right? Now I don't even desire to have the drink.
Right.
Before it was like, I feel like it'd be nice to have a fucking drink.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
oh no, tomorrow I gotta run.
Yep.
So there's a slight distinction there.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, I don't fucking want to drink.
Yeah,
Like I just don't feel
yeah.
like it. I'll hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
I'll maybe smoke a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'll have an edible or something.
Yeah.
But other than that,
What's the point?
I'll have a beer maybe.
Fair enough.
So, but it took me how long to get to this point? Now I'm trying to figure out how to optimize. Like I'm not going to be the best at everything in the planet,
No.
but I can be the best version of myself and optimize every single, at least the physical aspects as much as I
Yeah.
possibly can. So yeah, jiu-jitsu, bodybuilding, running. I want to do more.
Yeah.
I want to try to see if I can be all round
Right.
fit type of individual. Yeah, I can do like so. This Friday, I'm going to go to a CrossFit place. I'm gonna try that out.
Yeah.
See what
diversify, right?
Just
Try
diversify
everything,
shit.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
gonna be working with you guys.
Yeah.
That's gonna change all my shit. So
Right.
that's gonna be another element.
So it sounds like you've reached the mountaintop. You're back in the valley. What's the next mountaintop? What
Yeah,
are we
man, what's
What are
the
we
next
working
goal?
towards
Where-
now?
where-
Yeah.
Where are you headed?
So I feel that I've decided which direction I'm going in. Right. So this is I have a career,
Yeah.
right, where I work, but I'm not treating that like my career anymore. This is my career. So like, not to say I'm trying to make money, but I'm using that mental focus as if that's how I'm going to treat it. Right. So the next goal is throughout the entire year next year, I'm going to have different events I'm going to do because I want to maintain the exposure. I want people to still be aware of what we're trying to do, and I want people to understand that we're going to be continuing to raise funds for mental health and awareness. So for next year, we're going to do the Run to Remember again. And as far as I'm concerned, we're going to continue doing it until. Right? And it's going to be the same route. Everything the same. The date will probably be different. Obviously, it'll be the Sunday before Remembrance Day, so 6th of November. But I want to be able to do things throughout the year so people can see that we're still doing stuff and they can still donate. So we're making, like I was talking about before, we're making a pivot to a different charity. And not that there's anything wrong with the Royal Canadian Legion. It's a great charity. But I want to be able to get a little bit more reach with different people. So I've decided to join with Honor House. Honor House is a local charity here from BC, and they support all uniformed staff. So veterans, all municipal police, paramedics, firefighters, CBSA.
Way bigger web.
Yeah. And I know exactly where the money goes. So like say, for example, you raise $10,000. If you give Honor House $10,000, that pays for one room for an entire year.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's fucking cool.
That's pretty
That's
dope.
awesome. And what they do is they support any sort of member and their families if they have any medical issues in the area, right? So they'll put you up, they take care of everything. Cool. They've also built a ranch in the Okanagan that helps support people with mental health and those issues. And they're trying to expand across the country. So right now, on multiple levels, it's a great choice to go with Honor House because it's a local charity, but they're also really a great strategic partner moving forward because we can support each other and help each other grow. So we're going to be doing that. And then March 22nd, I'm going to do Goggins 4x4 by 48.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be the beginning of the fundraising efforts for November. So
That's 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And I think it ends up being, I don't know, like 50 miles or something by the time you're done the 2 days.
Yep.
So that'll be the beginning of the fundraising, March 22nd. And then April 19th or 20th, one of those 2 days, I can't remember exactly, I'll be going to Salmon Arm. And there's a race called Last Person Standing.
All right.
So,
that one's
look,
a motherfucker.
my goal for that is to run 100 miles in 24 hours. That's a real... It's going to sound funny. That's a realistic goal for myself.
For yourself. The rest of the world, crazy.
So it's a realistic goal for myself. I'm not trying to win it. Because a buddy of mine was telling me, actually, an Abbotsford police officer actually suggested I do this, actually. So I'm probably going to do it with him.
Cool.
He's going to join me, or I'm going to train with him a couple days or whatever, right? But he told me that the last person that won it, so the race is like this. It's like a 4.1 mile loop.
As many as you can.
As many as you can, but it's a 6,500 elevation.
Every time.
Every time.
6,500?
Yes.
6,500 feet.
Meters.
Oh, meters.
So that's 6.3K.
Holy shit. You're fucking crazy, man.
6,800 meters. That's a fuck ton.
Yeah.
On a
So it's just all uphill.
Yeah.
You're pretty much running all uphill.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
So the person that won that did 85 loops. Like 300 something miles.
Holy
I ain't doing that shit.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
No, yeah.
Right? So the goal, anyways, that'd be the second event that I'm going to try to raise funds for. The next one will be in July. July, I'm going to Ontario to do a ruck march. You know what a ruck march is?
No, I don't.
Rucksack and...
Oh, ruck. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
So there's an event that veterans are putting on in Ontario called a Ruck to Remember.
Yeah.
And it's through the Bruce Trail. Bruce Trail is like a trail in Ontario somewhere. It's 900 kilometers. They're doing it for the entire month to raise money for veterans homelessness in Ontario.
Crazy.
So I'm going to join part of it with them. Maybe a couple days, whatever I can do, 50 or 100K in the 2 days, and I'll do that with them. And that'll also be part of my fundraising efforts for Honor House, but also networking with these people out east to raise more awareness of what we're trying to do out here.
Right.
And then after that one, I know Abbotsford or one of those police departments out in that area do a West Coast Run to Remember.
Right.
and which is also the same idea, raising awareness, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. But it's 150-ish kilometers from the island to here. And it's on 4 different days. And as I understand it, they have different groups on each day to run it. So my goal for that is to run every single day. So the entire 150 in the 3 or 4 days that we run it.
Right.
So that's the goal for that, and continue the fundraising efforts, meet more people, network. And then that'll finish with the November 6th with the 100-kilometer run to remember. And again,
that's just next year.
Just next year. So just next year, that's what the plan is for next year. And
the one after that would be
something similar. Well, similar throughout the year,
Yeah.
and then November run to remember. Continue to do that, and then obviously each year to surpass our previous year in terms of fundraising. So next year, the goal would be to raise $30,000. We raised 20 this year. My goal is also to see if we can get bigger event sponsors. If we need, get bigger sort of chunks, like a 5,000 here or 10,000 here. So I'm working on trying to figure all that stuff out. But the ultimate goal, once I'm doing this year after year, 2025 is really, all this is my training for 2025. And my ultimate goal for 2025 is to run across Canada.
Fuck yeah.
So that goal,
Say that again?
to run 6,000 kilometers in 6 months or less
Across Canada.
So,
How many people have done that?
like, to completed it,
Yeah.
I think 2 maybe.
Okay.
Rick Hansen for sure, and I can't remember the other gentleman. He was in the 70s as well.
Okay.
Terry Fox attempted it, like we all know.
Yeah.
Finished in Thunder Bay. Maybe there has been others, but I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
I'm sure there have been people that have challenged themselves and done it and took a year and a half, this, that, and the other. I'm doing it solely just to raise money for veterans and first responders. So the goal is to raise, whatever we can raise, but to run that 6,000 kilometers in 6 months or less, that would be the achievement that I'm going to seek out. And then for me to do that, it starts
Marathon a day, I think you said?
40 to 50 kilometers a day.
day.
So that training starts last year.
Right.
Right?
So
that training started last year, because that was really my ultimate goal. When I thought about the Cameron Haynes thing, doing the 21K a day, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, now I can do it. So that I determined that earlier this year.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I can do this. Now with the help of you guys,
Yeah.
I'm certain of it.
100%.
Right? So we'll figure out what we need to do logistically over the next so many years. But the next, next year, the year after, logistically is how I'm trying to figure it out.
Right.
The easy part is the training.
It is the training. Yeah.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
For me anyways.
But you compare it to the stuff that you're doing it for, and it's all easy compared to what those people are going through.
100%.
Right? Like, yeah.
No, and you know what, man? Like people can see the difference in me now.
For sure.
They can see the passion. They see the excitement. They see the.
You're big about paying it forward too. You don't want to just keep it for yourself.
I don't want anything.
You just want to just give. Even the wealth of knowledge you're gaining, you just want to give it.
So I could charge people money for what I know and train them. This, that, and the. Okay, yeah. I'm not a fucking trainer.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
I want to help people.
Yeah.
And have I been paid before for helping with nutrition and diet? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I've been training with some people just recently and just training them. I don't.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't need money.
It's
work out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. And the more I do, like even in the future, I think the last payment I'm going to get for someone's diet is December.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
done.
it.
I'm not going to do it anymore. I just don't want to receive any
That's
money.
pretty
for any of
amazing,
that.
man. Like that's like, yeah, you're just finally in a place now in your life where you can kind of just give, and it gives you more than you give out. It's kind of weird how that works.
It is, and I wouldn't have thought of that on my own. I was talking to a friend of mine, Kelsey Sharon. She owns Brass and Unity.
Yeah.
And she's been doing some stuff. And I told her my idea when I ran with her. I ran 50K with her at training one in the summertime. And I was telling her, that's kind of cool how people are kind of, supporting. And she's like, you're doing something good. And the more that you do that is good, more will come back.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so let's try.
Look at that.
I haven't done that before.
Fair enough.
So I find where I find my life in now.
Yeah.
Let's try the other thing.
Yeah.
Right? See what happens. And since I've been doing that, only positivity. I mean, look, it's not going to be fucking rainbows and sunshine all the time, but I've been receiving more positivity.
Right.
And I've been feeling more positive in my head. And So why would I stop?
Yeah.
Like I feel better now. So why
Straight
would I
up.
stop it? Like
Straight up.
so I'm gonna keep fucking doing crazy shit. And
It's wild.
That's
Sach,
it.
where can people find you? Where can they support you?
Instagram. So jump on my
Sach in Motion?
yeah, Sachin Motion. So SACHINMOTION. All my sort of fundraising efforts, my training. You want to keep track of what I'm doing. All of it's on Instagram.
And you're on Strava.
I'm on Strava as well.
Follow
Actually,
this guy on Strava, please. It's not fun, but it's pretty fun to watch.
yeah. So I'm on Strava again. Sachin Motion on Strava. I try to run. I'll be running more probably in the next couple of weeks. So, but right now I'm maybe 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Probably in the next couple of weeks I'll probably up that a bit more.
Yeah.
And then you can find me on my website.
Yeah.
So sachinmotion.com. So everything there you can find. Please, everybody watching,
Yeah,
jump
for
on
sure, definitely.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Start
We'll
following.
Post it on Instagram as well.
Also,
and-
like if you can buy the shirt,
Yeah.
buy it for your family members.
Yeah.
We need more support from the Indo-Canadian community.
Yeah, definitely.
Because our community is one of the most giving.
Yeah.
And if we can kind of come together and help our community, also from a mental health perspective, because how many people in the Indo-Canadian community are in law enforcement, man?
Yeah.
There's a shit ton.
There's a lot. Yeah.
We need to support everybody.
Definitely.
So that's essentially my goal and
Yeah.
mission and what I'm going to continue doing. I plan on the next 4 or 5 years, everything's going to be different.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally.
We're here right every step of the way, whatever
Sach,
you need, man.
before we go, one last message to somebody out there that's listening, maybe an Indo-Canadian male who is struggling, hit rock bottom. One thing that you could say to that individual listening right now, what would it be?
Well, as many things as you want. Let's not limit it to one. I think he's probably.
I want to
got a lot
limit it
say.
to one, just for time's sake.
So from mental health perspective,
Yeah.
Yes.
take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
So what that means is if you need to see somebody, go see somebody.
Yeah.
If that means you need to go for a run, go for a run. If that mean whatever that means to you, just take care of yourself first because you can't take care of nobody if you don't,
Fair.
Thank
right?
you. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your vulnerability, man. It's not
Yeah,
easy
we
to
really
sit here.
appreciate
and
No,
it.
my
talk about
my
this
pleasure.
stuff
We
and-
can do it again whenever, man. Like
Such
I'll
the
be here
truth.
often.
Sounds good, man.
My guy,
Thanks,
man, we
brother.
really appreciate you,
Thanks,
man.
bro.
Yeah.